my name is Katie Hall, and I'm going to be presenting my final project as creating a floral bouquet. I ran to the store and picked out these beautiful roses. They're very fiery. They have a lot of red and yellow in them. I really like them. They're very pretty, especially for what I'm going for. I have picked out this King's Cross, which I thought would just add a little different to the bouquet since a lot of it is going to be red and roses. And then I have Baby's Breath just because of the nice little accent. So right now I am trimming my roses, and by trimming I mean I'm pulling off all of these extra leaves. Just like that. You're gonna want most of them off just like that, and you're gonna do that with every single one of your bouquets. You can keep a little of these so it adds a little bit of extra fullness to that, but you want to make sure that's not touching your water when you put it together. I like to just go ahead and take all of them off because I don't really like the extra excess. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then I'll come back. Alright, so I'm back from trimming the roses. They should look something like this. I left a little bit one off the top just because I'm not really sure how the end result's going to look yet. And if I don't want it there at the end, I will take it off. So your flowers should come with little packets of flower food, and this is going to ensure that your flowers last a couple of days. Now what I like to do, since I bought 3 different bouquets, it came with 3 different packets. I'm not going to use all of those at once. I'm going to keep a couple on the side because 2 to 3 days you're going to want to change your water, and the flowers at the end are going to cauterize. They're going to turn brown, and you're going to want to snip those because that's going to allow your flowers to go and live up to 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even a month, and look very pretty even then. So make sure you keep a couple of those packets and make sure you trim those flowers. I'm going to demonstrate how to do that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the roses. I'm just going to guess on how I would like that length to be right now because I'm not really sure how much all of these flowers are going to fill. So you're going to take your scissors, here's your stem. You're going to take your scissors and you're going to want to go diagonal, kind of like this. It's going to look like that. And that's going to ensure that all of the water is making it up that stem all the time. If you cut it straight across, it's not going to work. And you're also, whenever you put all your flowers together, you're going to want to make sure that none of these stems are touching the bottom of the vase. So they are also getting the max amount of water that they can so they stay alive the longest. So I'm going to go ahead and trim all these flowers and I'll come back. Alright, so I have a lot of my flowers trimmed. Most of them are trimmed the way I liked it. I left some of them not trimmed because, like I said, you're going to have extra spots in certain places where you're going to want a little bit of extra length, or you're not really sure how it's going to look like, so you're going to want to wait. Just for a couple, like 3 or 4. But most of them I do have trimmed. So now we're going to get into actually building the bouquet, and this is where a lot of it is going to be your preference. If you are working at a florist or you're actively working in a grocery store that has a floral department, usually you are going to have templates, and that's going to show you where you can kind of put everything. I like to take creative liberty and just kind of make my own unless I'm instructed to do something else. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting them together. I'm going to go in with the roses first, and like I said, you're going to want to make sure that the bottom of those roses are not touching the bottom of the vase. At the beginning, whenever you're kind of situating them in there, it's going to seem a little bit difficult to try to get them to not touch the vase, but as you go on, you can situate them to where they're not doing that. You're going to want them to kind of be on the side of the vase, but as long as they're not touching the bottom, that's all that matters. So notice that I kind of have a couple of taller ones in here, like this one and this one. And that's because whenever I add the other flowers, I might want a little bit of extra length, like I said earlier. And if I don't, it's okay. I can just trim those. So I got all my flowers in there. They're kind of nonchalantly placed. Really in no particular order at the moment. So I'm going to grab some of this King's Cross over here. I'm just going to kind of spread that in there. Not really going in any particular order. I'm just kind of picking, choosing where I feel like that's probably going to look good. I'm going to take this one out. It's kind of in the way. Oh, let's see here. All right. It's kind of a trial and error kind of thing. You just kind of get, you know, what you kind of want. Let's see. All right. I chose this project because it's very creative. It's kind of along the lines of what I want to do. I like how it has so much creative liberty in it where you can kind of do what you want, and you know, it's very much what you make it and what you want to make it. And I love the idea of flowers because it's just a simple way of telling someone that you love them or you care about them, and they're beautiful and they last, and you just look at them and you say, oh, that's your reminder, you know, somebody loves you. And it's so easy to express your emotions through them, through the different colors and the different arrangements and all the different possibilities that you have with flowers. And I love the look on people's faces whenever I give them to them, and I love I just love the whole idea of flowers and their meanings and their beauty and how many different kinds there are. I think there's endless possibilities. So like I said, right now I am just organizing them to the way I like it. No particular order, just kind of to my preference. I want to make sure that I get all these beautiful roses kind of up here in the front. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Don't want them to be really overpowered by anything else. Two or three here in the back, that's okay, but I like most of them to see at the, because roses are my favorite flowers, so I like them to be kind of the focal point of every piece. So now that I have that King's Cross and those flowers in there, I'm going to start sprinkling in my baby's breath. Now the baby's breath, you don't particularly trim. There's not a whole lot of extra flowers usually, or leaves. You just kind of trim it as you go. It's kind of one of those flowers that's kind of all over the place all the time, so you're going to have a lot all at once. So if you don't want, like this piece for example, I can just pull it off, or I'm going to trim it actually. It's kind of fragile, so like I showed you earlier with pulling off the leaves on the roses, you can't really do that with this. It'll bend it really easily. So you're going to want to trim it, and you're going to trim it diagonal just like I showed you earlier. Put that there. Let's see, here's a big one. So this one's a little bit too big. I'm going to trim it down here at the bottom. I'm going to get rid of this one because that's a little bit of extra. I don't want it to overpower anything else. That's very important. You don't want anything overpowering anything else. You want it to be a nice little balance, unless your customer or you preferably would like one thing to be more than the other, and that's okay. So we get all that in there. Let's see. I have this green branch from my rose bouquet. I'm not really sure if I want to use it, but let's double check really quick and see if I have a spot where it can go. Thinking kind of back here in the back. I'm not really sure. Let's see. All right. Like I said, once again, this is kind of a trial and error thing. You kind of learn as you go. It's not really something that you can be trained on. There's really not a whole lot of training on it. You just kind of have to learn. You get an eye for it. And if you have a creative mind, and if you're like me and you really just think creatively and you're always creating things, it's easier that way because you don't have to always have a guideline, and you don't always have to be told what to do, and there's not always something. So really taking that creative liberty also makes it really special for the customer and for whoever you're giving it to. Adds a little bit something extra that, you know, pre-made or pre-arranged floral bouquets, they just don't have. They don't have that extra little personal element. They don't have, you know, somebody really putting in the work to make that beautiful and make that very special for you. And that's what I think I like the most about kind of putting it together yourself. It just makes it a lot more special, at least to me. And whenever, you know, I have Mother's Day was just recently, I put an arrangement together for my mom because I just feel like it's a lot more special if I do it myself. It means a lot more, and this goes for anyone that they don't even have to be going or wanting to go into floral or making arrangements or really have any background knowledge at all as to how to put together floral arrangements or anything. It just means a lot more if you are putting in, you know, that work to make something special and show someone that you really care for them. And that I just really love. I just really love that little aspect of it. It's so special and it's so touching and it's just beautiful. All right, so now I kind of have all of my flowers in here where I want them. I'm just kind of arranging it to where I think it looks good, to where, you know, I kind of want it to be. Like I said, you don't want anything really overpowering the other. You're going to want it to all be kind of balanced out. Now, like I said before, if you have a preference, if the customer has a preference, you can obviously, you know, make those flowers more prominent than the other ones. I really like roses, so I like them to be the focal point, like I said earlier, so I'm kind of trying to get those towards the front. Everything else is kind of like an accent flower. It's just going to make, you know, the bouquet pulled together and a lot more special than rather than just looking like I took it out of a book. So I'm going to go ahead and add the finishing touches to my bouquet and I will come back. Alright, so my bouquet is done. Like I said, I wanted to make the focal point of this piece the roses in the front. So here's those roses. As you can see, I kind of balanced the king's cross in between and the baby's breast in the back. And here in the back, I have the leaves from the roses that came with those. I have those in the back. And I've added a ribbon at the bottom of my bouquet because I feel like it just really adds everything together. And I'll go ahead and insert a picture right now so you can see how the arrangement turned out better, because I know it might be a little bit hard to see on camera while I'm presenting it. So like I said at the bottom, you don't really want any of your touches, you know, you don't want them touching. Notice how they're all kind of on the side. Nothing's really directly touching the bottom of the container, and that's very important because you really want to make sure that all of your flowers are getting the max amount of water they can have so they live the longest and, you know, they get all their nutrients. So like I said, every 2 to 3 days you're going to want to pull them out and cut off those cauterized bottoms. If you want to make that easier for you, you can pull your arrangement out and tie it with a string, or you can add a rubber band, and that way you can just pull it out and put it back in. I usually just take them out and then rearrange them back to what I believe that they looked like before, or close enough, since they're just my own personal arrangements and they're not for anybody else. So I hope you really enjoyed my presentation. I really enjoyed putting it together, so thank you.